One way to do this is to come up with 12 insights where we say something like, large construction projects show very high productivity increases. Medium transport storage show the highest productivity increases. Large businesses, large tend to be the best performers in terms of productivity. You notice I'm coming up with all kinds of insights. I can basically list them all. Eventually I can read each bubble and come up with an insight. That's a bad way to do it. Because you're not paid to come up with individual insights you do this analysis with. Because we're looking at providing financial services or systems, or building basically a bank for immigrants in the southern United States. That was the purpose of the study. The foreign bank was trying to enter the United States market to build a retail branch network primarily to cater for immigrants and foreigners in the southern United States, which is why we're looking at the southern United States. This is not for the entire United States. So you plot this and you get this interesting map. So basically, what this map is telling us is that if you've got growth in employment here, so employment goes up here, and you've got turnover going here, you can see the growth in turnover is much higher than the equivalent growth in employment. The average growth in employment is 5%. Average growth in turnover is actually not 5%, something literally is 2.1%. The average growth in turnover is something literally is 12.9%. So turnover is growing at a faster rate than employment. That means the turnover per employee is growing at a faster rate. And productivity increases when your output grows at a faster rate than your input. In this case, your output is your revenue, and one of your biggest input costs is your employment, labor costs, right? Now, for most consultants, they would have left it at this point and just said, well, the United States is becoming more productive with fewer employees. They would have said, this is a brilliant insight. Now let's move on to another analysis. I'm going to show you a very powerful trick to reduce the analysis you're doing, but to generate more insights from the few analysis that you are doing. Now, keep this graphic in the back of your head. Maybe I'll take a screenshot so you can see this, but the bottom line is this. Consultants will read this in three ways. There are three types of consultants. One is, if you think about it, we spoke about analysis paralysis, right? So that's one trap people fall. And I meant to say there's two ways to read this. Let's look at the two ways to read this, right? One way to read this is to go through an exhibit and list every single insight you can generate. Let's put a lot of bubbles and charts. So what some consultants do is they'll go through it and they'll find maybe 12 interesting insights. And they'll list them. They'll create a slide like this and they'll list all 12 insights. Or they may create 25 insights and they'll list them. That's a bad way to do it. It's a bad way because it's confusing. The clients see the page full of data and they don't know what is the most important data. So it demonstrates a lack of prioritization to understand. And also when you put 25 things on a slide, you're basically sucking away the oxygen, right? Because effort will be expended on discussing things that are not important and not prioritized. So if you're the kind of consultant that tries to extract every single insight from a slide, and when you say every single insight, I'll recommend that this have 8 to 10 things. It's actually a bad idea. Because it's not the way to read graphs. The strategy consultants, what we do is this. We say, hey, just assume we came up with 12 insights in the graph. We don't list every single insight. We say, what are these 12 things telling us together? Right? So, rather than saying these are the 8 insights on the slide, right, we'll say, what are these 12 things telling us together? Let me give an example. Look at each of these blocks here, right? So you've got a block here, here, not a block, a bubble, here, here, here. So remember a few of these so you can get the point. Now, one way to do this is to come up with 12 insights where we say something like, large construction projects show very high productivity increases. Medium transport storage show the highest productivity increases. Large businesses, large tend to be the best performers in terms of productivity. You know, something with all kinds of insights are basically listening. I wish I can read each bubble and come up with an insight. That's a bad way to do it. Because you're not paid to come up present the 25 insights to the client, but says, what are these 25 insights telling us to Jeff? Right. Now, I make the point.
Oh, by the way, before we get into this episode, I would love to tell you a little bit about Life Notes. Now, Life Notes is a weekly-ish email that I
can't say I want to leave and do my own thing, but in this private online community, you can.
What you're about to hear is a conversation between me and Jordan Godby. Now, Jordan specializes in helping creators start, build, and monetize thriving online communities. And so in this interview, we talk all about what it takes to build a thriving online community and how you could potentially be making $10,000 a month and even beyond from an online community.
A lot of us know what we need to do. We just need to sit down and do it. So how do we create an environment and opportunity for people just to sit down and do the work? And that alone provides massive value for people.
We talk about the pros and cons of online community as a business model, and we talk about a bunch of things to consider if you are trying to make money and trying to build this sort of thriving online community business.
There are times in there that it's going to get really hard, and you maybe want to give up. Maybe you only actually want to give up in the moment, because you actually said, I want to achieve that thing, but there will be times where it becomes uncomfortable. And so if your goal as the creator is to truly help people, then you're going to have to help them through those hard moments as well.
All right, Jordan, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, man. It's great to be here.
This is going to be fun. So we are going to give people, apparently, a roadmap for how a normal person can get to $10,000 a month through online communities. Now, this seems... I did an episode with Jay Klaus, and I was a little bit like... That was more like a coaching session where he sort of coached me on what we do with Productivity Lab. But I kind of want this to be imagining we've got someone who's like a normal person. Let's say me when I was 26 and I had a day job. And I'm like, I enjoy the job, but I would love to build some sort of business on the side. And this goal of $10,000 a month seems to be a thing, at least on YouTube, where people feel like, okay, if I can get to 10K a month, I'll be able to comfortably quit my job. And probably most people listening to this, if you can make $10,000 a month with a side business, you probably feel like, damn, yeah, maybe I could quit my job and have freedom and all that fun stuff. So, how does someone get to 10K a month using a community? Like, where do we start?
Yeah, so a lot of times I see people just coming up with an idea, and they're like, with this work, could I make $10,000 a month using this idea? And that's not really the best way to do it, right? You have an idea in search of a problem, or in search of someone's dollars, and what you really want is to solve a problem that already exists. And when you do that, you can very easily put value to that and sell people on that.
Okay. You want to solve a problem that already exists. Okay, because a lot of people will be listening to this thinking, okay, well, I've heard of dropshipping, I've heard of affiliate sites, I've heard of selling an online course. Okay, Dal talks about his YouTuber Academy, so maybe I could make it big by being a YouTuber. But increasingly, they might have seen Alex Hormozi sort of convincing everyone that the best way to get to 10K a month is to start an online community on school or something. Like, what's up with that sort of messaging?
It's a little bit obfuscating the real issue here. So I feel that community is now the new hot topic that everyone's talking about, the right platform, and how much to charge. But community by itself doesn't actually solve any problems. It's not just a magic bullet, magic wand. And so, how there's always been a trend of like affiliate marketing, drop shipping, like all of these things. And so people get into it because it feels like a get-rich-quick scheme or some type of thing that you can run without needing to have a whole lot of skills or experience. And so with community, there is a lot of transparency there in terms of you working with your members inside your community. So if you don't actually have something valuable to offer them, they're going to find that out very, very quickly. So community does not just magically solve a problem. It is a vehicle for you to be able to deliver the value that you have, the experience that you have. So maybe you're a coach, or maybe you are a course creator, and you've realized, okay, well, with my course, there are some inherent issues. Things like nobody finishes the course. Okay, that's a problem. Why? Well, because all of the people are disconnected and isolated. And so they're trying to do a very hard thing all by themselves. And it's hard to do hard things all on your own.
Yeah.
So the community then starts to add more value to the thing that you are already helping them with, which is solving a problem through your course. So by itself, the community isn't just some magic container that's going to create value.
So if someone has no experience with any business thing and they've just got a day job, to what extent would you recommend community as being the vehicle that gets them to 10K a month?
Okay, so let's talk about the options that they would have, right? So community to me is a bit overused and understood, misunderstood, right? So it's actually not one thing. I see them as several different options. And so community is almost like saying, I want to start an online business. Okay?
Okay, yeah.
It's like, how do I make 10K a month with an online business? Well, come on, business. Is this a dropshipping company? Is this a YouTube, channel? What are we talking about here? Are you building a software product? Very, very different routes and very different requirements. So inside of community, there are two main value drivers. There's the connection side, which is bringing people together, and the value comes from the side. And then there's curriculum, where you're taking people through a process and you're taking them on a journey.
Yeah, so for someone listening to this who might not have already run the community Kool-Aid, what is an online community? Are we talking like a Facebook group? Are we talking like an email list? Are we talking like trying to bring people together in real life? Yeah. What are we talking about?
Great question. So community, like I said, is very overused. It's very true. So humans have been in communities forever, since the beginning of time. So it's nothing new, but what is new here is the online aspect of it. Okay? So I think it's important to talk about what is the difference between audience and community. A lot of people say, I already have a big community on LinkedIn. It's like, no, you really don't. You have some followers, you have an audience, but it's not a community. So for me, community requires you to be a bit more bought in. You've actually opted into something, maybe you've purchased something, or you've signed up, and you've said, I want to be a member, part of that group. And so until recently, the last few years, there hasn't really been any dedicated platforms dedicated to community. And now there are. So that's what we're really talking about, is creating a private space that is online, that is dedicated and designed just to facilitate member-to-member interaction, for you to engage with them, for you to deliver resources, curriculum, all that kind of stuff.
Why does someone pay for a community? Seems like a bit of a scam.
Well, I think we pay for communities, right? Like we join private newsletters or private groups. We want to get access to people. We want to get access to information. So maybe you're joining a club. And so we're doing those things on a regular basis, whether it's local, you're joining like a religious group, or maybe a sports league, or fantasy football, right? It's like people want to be brought together with other people that have shared interest, shared vision, shared challenges, but even shared goals. And so communities could be people who are trying to quit their 9 to 5 and become an entrepreneur, right? So it's like maybe you feel really misunderstood because everyone around you in your day job loves the day job, you can't speak badly about it, you can't say I want to leave and do my own thing. But in this private online community, you can, because you can be surrounded by people that think exactly the way you do. They read the same books, they watch the same YouTube videos, and so there's that sense of connection and support. But then also, if that community is being led by someone who's doing what you want to be doing, you're essentially having that mentor or mentorship relationship or a coach relationship where you can be sharing what you're doing on a regular basis. So you're like, hey, I'm trying to implement the things you're teaching and it's not working. Then you can actually get support versus you just read a book and you can't figure it out.
Okay, cool. So like I'm thinking, this was the thought that we had a few years ago now, actually, when we launched our course, the YouTuber Academy. And my team talked me into having a community with it, because I was like, who cares about community? Because to me, like, online community is, like, I don't really care. I feel like I've already got too much shit going on in my life, and I know enough people in real life now who do stuff, and real life is probably better than online. But then I was really surprised that people seemed to freaking love the community. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then 6 months ago, when we were thinking of launching a productivity lab, initially it was going to be a $300 course. And then my team again said, hey, we should really make this a community. And I was like, nah, come on. No one wants community. Turns out people really want community now that we've launched the thing, and I kind of got talked into it by my team, who did a load of market research. So we mentioned that there is a few different types of online community. Online community is sort of like online business. Like, what are the different types, and how should someone be thinking about this?
Yeah. And I think the important thing to think about too is we all realized through the pandemic and everything how isolated and lonely we can all be and how disconnected. And so it's a place to go to hang out, right? Where you're not just going there to get entertainment, but to really be understood, to be supported, and to not feel so alone and resistant. And so sometimes when you're trying to do a really hard thing, the first step is actually that mental step of even believing it's possible, right? Because if you don't believe something is truly possible, you know, we all see superstars, we see famous people, and it's like, yeah, they could do it, but is this really possible for me? Getting into that community puts you in very close proximity with people that are either doing what you want to be doing or also striving for it. So it makes it feel a lot more tangible and a lot more realistic.
Okay.
So let's talk about what those 4 different types are, right? So we've got the 2 drivers we've talked about. So we've got connection or curriculum. So you want to be thinking about, if you're starting a community, where is the value coming from? Is it coming from simply bringing a lot of disconnected people together? And that could be definitely a value driver. Or is it coming from teaching someone and helping them achieve a very specific outcome? So if you've done something in your life that other people want to learn how to do, and if you can turn that into a roadmap and a curriculum and course, doing that inside of a community supercharges that. Okay. So within each of those 2 buckets, there is a low ticket option and a high ticket option.
Okay.
And that is going to dictate the way that you're going to run and facilitate the community and the experiences.
And what numbers are we talking for low ticket and high ticket?
Low ticket, I would say anything under typically $1,000 or something like $100 per month.
Oh, okay, cool. So under $100 a month would be low ticket, and over $100 a month would be high ticket.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, ours is $97 a month, so I guess you would collectively have low ticket, lowish ticket.
It's lowish,
Yeah.
right? But you're charging it up front, aren't you?
Yeah, 1,000 for the year,
Mhm.
or like 997 for the year, or whatever it is. Yeah.
So yours is a bit interesting, and we can get into that because I feel that you're charging low ticket on the price, but you're actually delivering high ticket on the experience. And so we can kind of talk about what those 2
Click that out and post it as a testimony.
differences look
Low
like.
ticket on the price, high ticket on the experience. Okay, cool. Yeah, so 4 different types.
Yeah. So on the connection side, on the low ticket, we have peer communities.
Yeah.
Right. So it sounds like what it is. Hey, we all have a similar interest, a similar goal, a similar dream. Let's get all together. We can talk about it. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. It's unstructured.
Yeah.
But we know that by bringing all these people together, something good is going to happen.
Okay, so
And
let's
that's
do
why-
like, I don't know, a community for people who really enjoy Brandon Sanderson's books and do that for like $9 a month.
Sure. Yeah.
Cool, I would join that community. I'll be like, sick. It's like a bit nicer than the forums because it's paid rather than free. I would join that community.
Why would you join that community?
Why would I join that community? Because it's cheap enough that... why would I join the community? Okay, so for me, the thing that I get value from is saving time. And so if I can join a community for $9 a month or $100 a year, and it's people who are Brandon Sanderson fans, I'm a big Brandon Sanderson fan, and they are people who are giving me book recommendations for like what next to read, that means now I'm using the small amount of time I have to read fantasy fiction to read the good stuff, rather than the less good stuff, or something to that effect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have just you essentially bought your time back, bought your life back. You don't have to read books that are no good.
Yeah.
They're giving you the shortcut, right?
Yep.
So that is one of the themes that you want to be thinking about too, whether it's on the connection or on the curriculum side. No one wants more stuff, more information, more whatever. They just want a shortcut to their goal. So it sounds like your goal was, I want to read really good fantasy fiction, the good stuff, and kind of avoid all the others.
Yeah, and plus I think if I were part of this community and people were doing like, I don't know, in-depth analyses of the scene, the prologue from book 5 and stuff, which has only just been released, I'd be like, oh yeah, I want to get all over that. Because it would just be kind of cool to go deeper in my love for Brandon Sanderson, but also to save time with recommendations for other resources, i.e. books.
So one of the values that that community would be providing for you would also be this outlet to have these really deep, nerdy conversations with people that maybe you can't have anywhere else in your life, right? Because no one else reads that. Or and so it's like now you're completely surrounded by all of these fans, and you guys can all nerd out together and it feels super cool, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Super cool is a strong word, but yeah.
So another example, actually, that works really well when you have a large audience. So if you're an author and you've written lots of books and you've got millions of fans and followers, you can do that low ticket $10 a month community, and it can work reasonably well.
Cool.
Okay. So another example would be a B2B marketing community, right? Let's bring everyone together. So Exit 5, Dave Gerhardt, he runs a B2B marketing community. He's done a lot in the B2B world, and so a lot of people have followed him for many, many years. And he's like, hey, let's have a community where we can all talk about cutting edge B2B marketing stuff and AI and whatever. But there's no expectation that you're going to take courses or that he's going to show up and do all of the teaching. It's simply a private place where we can talk about things off of LinkedIn, maybe a bit more sensitive, a bit more niche, a bit more cutting edge, and it's going to be higher quality. And so